lot of bruises on Apple today. Let's talk to our deputy tech editor, Megan McCarthy. Megan, we saw Apple plummet as low as $518 yesterday. It hit a 4-year low. And today also news coming out of China that it's dropped in its smartphone ranking there?
Yes, analysts did mention that apparently Apple is now number 6 within the Chinese smartphone market, which is definitely had the effect on dropping the share prices yesterday. Today, some of the news has come out. 2 big interviews with CEO Tim Cook,
right.
Both NBC and Bloomberg, and where Tim Cook has a very large Q&A, makes mention of this thing where they're actually going to bring back some of the MacBook production to the United States outside and bring it back from China, which is actually kind of interesting, and it might be one of the reasons why the shares have gone up a little bit today. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
They've regained some of those losses. They're up 2.5% now. So interesting. I mean, if nothing else, image-wise, they've had some issues in China with the Foxconn plant there in terms of the iPhone,
yes,
and the riots that have been there, and what question about what the working conditions are.
Exactly, and some human rights things, and so the manufacturing that's coming back right now is actually a MacBook line. It's
right.
Not, from my understanding, it's actually not so much of Foxconn, which is more iPhone and iPad.
Right.
But it's definitely a step in the right direction, and it will be interesting to see what they do beyond this. And if, for instance, this MacBook line that they're bringing back to the U.S. will have them bring more manufacturing back here. So we'll see how that happens.
But this drop in the smartphone ranking in China, that was big, because China on the verge of becoming the biggest smartphone market, and price is really a factor there, because those local Chinese-made smartphones there that sell very cheaply are eating some of the market share.
Absolutely. The domestic smartphone market within China has a lot of Chinese companies that are doing very, very well. But also keep in mind that Chinese market is the largest market out there. So even though they're number 6, that's actually not that bad.
All right. Well, we'll wait to see if they ever make it back to that 705.
There's hoping.
There's hoping. All right, let's move on to Zynga. From Farmville to Sin City. Fill us in here.
Absolutely. Will be interesting. What they are doing is actually applying for a gambling license in the state of Nevada. And what that means is that you will be able to eventually use Zynga games to get some real money and not just digital sheep. So
when your stock is down, tap into people's gambling habits. As a way to bail yourself out.
I mean, it's kind of synergistic right there. And I can't wait till they have the gambling stock market game, which would be kind of fun to play on Zynga.
Well, so this would be just for residents or people in Nevada, because there's very few, like Delaware, I think now has online gambling. Jersey has something on the books waiting to be passed, but certainly far from being nationwide.
Right. There was a federal judge that ruled that you cannot bet nationwide on sports, but didn't say anything else about any other opportunities. So it's actually up to the states to do this. Some states, I think, will be fairly conservative in this, but what Zynga's actually already done is signed an agreement with a Gibraltar-based company, and they're going to start gambling in the UK in early 2013.
All right. Well, people, obviously, investors liking this news, they're up 9% today.
Great.
All right, Megan McCarthy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to move now to the hot spot, and as I do, remember, folks, check out the snaps at the bottom of your screen for more headlines of the day. Ernie Scheider joins me now. We're going to talk about a story that we talked about yesterday. Freeport-McMoRan, the mining company, buying Plains Exploration and McMoRan Exploration. Today, analysts and investors are saying this looks a little bit unsavory, the way that these companies are all interconnected. Stock is down on all 3 today.
And part of the reason is because if you're an investor in the raw materials space, you like sort of having things sort of carved out neatly. If you want to buy copper or gold, you would buy in a Freeport-McMoRan. If you wanted to get into oil or natural gas, you'd buy Plains or some of the others out there. So, this sort of muddies the water right now. One analyst at Goldman today says, look, we think Freeport stock's going to remain in the penalty box for the foreseeable future because they can't make, a discernible investment choice. Copper is going gangbusters right now. Freeport has the largest copper mine in the world. So if you like copper, you bought that. But now, what do you do?
Right.
That's the question mark.
For analysts downgrading the stock today at Freeport.
And one analyst basically telling me yesterday, I was talking to him, he's like, look, you could have bought oil and gas shares before if you wanted in a Plains or an Exxon or anything else.
Right.
But now it muddies the water, and you're paying a bunch of fees to iBankers and to CEOs as well. So he said it's just wasted money.
Doesn't mean the deal's not going to go through, but just means they're all taking a hit today.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on and talk about special dividends or early dividends. This is an ongoing story. More and more of these companies giving out their dividends or paying a special dividend ahead of potentially no talks being resolved for the fiscal cliff. And the latest Sirius XM, 5 cents a share on a $2.82 stock.
That's like a 6 or 7% yield right there. That is huge for such a stock that's so low right now. Yeah. The company is also going to do $2 billion worth of a common stock buyback.
Right.
Both of those actions are a big payout for the biggest shareholder, Liberty Media, as well, which has been angling for a long time to get SiriusXM to boost its business line and focus more on increasing revenues from its users.
And angling to become the largest, to go past 50% in terms of the shares that they own there.
Yes, and he's certainly close there right now. Liberty Media is saying they're not going to participate, was the word that they used. In this buyback. So I think we can read between the lines there and say that they're not selling any of their shares.
Just interesting as an aside, I mean, some people criticize the business model at Sirius, saying that they should be more profitable, that they rely too much on the auto industry, which is mainly where you listen to Sirius.
But that's where most people listen to the radio to begin with. You look at big cities like New York or Washington, D.C., where you have a lot of commuters on public transportation. Radio's not too popular, but you go into the exurbs, that's where most people listen to the radio. I mean, let's not forget NPR is wildly popular outside of big cities. Still big popular in cities, but most people listen to NPR outside because they listen to it on the radio.
All right. Defending a Sirius there, you're at what? Tell us, admit it.
It's Howard Stern.
It's Howard Stern. There we go. All right, Ernie Schneider, thanks so much. Remember, folks, follow us on Twitter at Reuters Insider and check out our YouTube channel, Reuters.com/ReutersTV. I'm Lisa Bernhard. This is Reuters.